He's got me mounted, and we're talking about his hands on the mat. We can get his hands to the mat. We'll do that in a second. I'll explain all that. But yes, there's technical mount. Like turn to technical mount, right? We've got those kind of mounts. We've got S mounts. We've got all kinds of different mounts, right? We've also got like bellying into me real hard, crossing his ankles or whatnot. You know, that's another version. We're not going there just yet. I'm going to go through a couple things. Turn a little bit, Kelly. I'm going to go through a couple things. Super simple, and then we'll build into the variations of uncrossing his feet and all that stuff that we got to do. My opponent's hands could be on the mat. That's a good thing for me. Okay, he's not attacking my arms or my neck. Okay, if his hands are not on the mat, I post one foot on the ground as close as I can to his butt, and the other one's in his back, and it's mobile, and I put his hands on the mat like that. Okay, see how his heels lifted up too? That's extra cookies, right? Okay, so let me tell you the truth though. It's very hard to do what we're classically taught to push. Relax a little bit, Kelly. To push and slide my hips out and get my next leg in, and then I come out, and then I try to hip escape, and I come all the way to here. We must know that, but the reality of me doing that versus one of my black belts, for example, it can be very hard. You get stuck halfway, all right? But there's also something that I need you to realize, that like what one of my guys says, like the risk versus reward, right? Like what's the benefit? So if I hip escape all the way to close guard, if we're fighting, you're gonna bang on me from the full guard, right? If we're doing a tournament or any other reason that you wanna get up, you wanna get on top, hip escaping to full guard puts you on your back, right? And it's a very well known set of techniques that's from the full guard to sweep you. In a no-gi, it gets even harder to sweep from the full guard, okay? The full guard's gotta really be known, especially happens in the lower ranks. It's a rest spot for us older ranks, right? But so the truth is, instead of trying to get all the way there, I'd rather fire back with the sweep or submission as fast as possible. Come back to mount. Let's say his hands are on the mat and he's just in this position. I need to put him in a sweeping position and also not get attacked. So my elbow is digging into his near side hip over here. This is what's most important. Not my hands, because if I just push with my hands, go to technical mount, Billy, turn, right? See, he'll bypass my elbow, right? And guys will set that up with arm locks and all that. So I'm really just digging in with this elbow into his hip over there. Because on your hands again, Kelly. Now try and like go high, Kelly, walk up high. Yeah, so this is really bad, right? So when I have that elbow in hip, walk high, Kelly, he's not advancing at all. Even if you turn to S mount, or he leaves so much gap and all kinds of stuff, he makes a mistake by going trigger happy and doing that too early, right? The other thing that I want you to pay attention to is that my elbow is on the inside. My hands are in the same spot. I don't want my elbow out like this because he can reach, no. He could reach an underhook. Yeah, I start walking out arm triangles and stuff like that, and that gets bad for me by exposing this big circle right here. So you notice my elbows are to my ribs like this. And the truth is, I'm not gonna really move my foot. My goal is just to get his ankle between my legs. That's my goal. Not actually trying to take my hips that are stuck underneath his hips and move out. Not in this particular hip escape. This is not end all be all for all hip escapes. So my legs are pinched, woohoo, right? Extra kudos if I have his leg hooked. This changes a lot for the advanced guys. We can go to deep half and chin in sweeps and waders, and stuff starts to really happen when we got this hooked. But it's good for beginners to know too. That being said, I'm mounted, right? So I'm here. I've got my hands on one spot. I'm fighting with that elbow, and I can fight with this elbow too. My left elbow, the one on the ground, I can fight with this elbow, but I'm always fighting with the elbow on the hip. That's never stopping. If I'm lucky, I just push knee to elbow and I scoop his foot. Boop, that happens a lot. Sometimes that doesn't work, and I need to take my heel and I need to scoop his foot a little bit. Sometimes he's on his toes and not like that, and I can actually scoop his foot from this side, and I can put him into half guard, or I could just elevate his leg in order to turn him and trap him and get him like this, right? So like, you're gonna have to basically just fight this foot. You guys get what I'm saying? In the beginning, the beginners, elbow to knee. Like my elbow is gonna come to my knee. That's why a lot of schools will call it the elbow escape, right? So I'm here and I push, boop, I'm here like this. Does that make sense? Yep. So I'm gonna get here first. Come back. So I'm mounted, I T-Rex. I can push his hands on the mat by doing this movement. My elbow tips, come back Kelly, are on his thighs. So I don't just put his weight forward like that. I put elbow tips on his thighs and then knee him and his hands will go flying forward. You see, I put my elbow in the correct spot. I'm already here. His feet were light. I'm like this. Or his feet are tight, his hands are down, right? And I got to fight this a little bit more, right? But the whole time I'm doing that, I'm not exposing that elbow. I'm doing this. Now I'm ready to fire back. For the advanced guys, I'm gonna be tilting, getting the deep half guard. And for the beginners, I'm gonna be turning this knee over into a dogfight position and trying to get up. Long story short, but I just want you to get to this position. Let's talk about it one more time. And actually here, I'll show it on this side. I just want you to get to this closed position here where I'm fighting this foot and I've got my top leg hooking his ankle. My bottom knees are coming up. I want you to just get here. For everyone, get here a few times and then we'll be able to start getting down with sweeps and attacks. Can't do jack diddly until that is done. Why do that? Let me explain something else in the game. If he's mounted, one of the classic things that we're taught is to try and trap an arm and overhook it, which can get me walked out in the arm triangle and stuff, right? And there's good things and bad things about that. Because I'm not just gonna wanna do this if Kelly's bombing on my face with punches, right? So I may wanna trap his arms when it comes to self-defense type techniques, you know? So there's different reasons for different balance escapes. I like trapping his actual arm. If I'm gonna, you know, and then you could trap the head, start bridging and rolling. So there's different reasons that I would be doing these things. And this hip escape right now is just, I'm able to get away with it. I'm able to do it. And we don't have massive punches involved. Thank you, Kelly. We don't have massive punches involved. Okay, but you just gotta remember that everything I'm gonna teach, I'm gonna talk about fighting, I'm gonna talk about sport, I'm gonna talk about just in here. Like there's different reasons that we do different techniques. I want one person only to just continuously keep trying to trap that foot. I'm gonna set a 2-minute drill. We're just gonna have one person stay on top and the other person just traps that dude's foot. Over and over and over again. White belts, last time, white belts. I don't want you to forget about hooking it with this top leg if I can. So instead of just being pinched, my top leg hooking his Achilles is good. Heel to butt, toes on the ground. Look, that's how I'm hooking it. I'm not holding it in the air. I'm like this, I have contact. So if I took my knees and turned them up, I'd create a great amount of space in this, okay? All right, one person go. Ready? This position, we're already here, okay? So I don't have to explain how we got there again. All right, we're here. So I'm gonna show 2 different games based off of moving this knee. One is advanced and one is beginner. You have to have deep half guard knowledge to do the advanced version. Beginners and all levels can do the basics version, and I'm gonna get to dogfight. So a prime position for me is gonna be up on my knees with an underhook to sweep, but this is my underhook arm. If I have the same side leg that I have is the same side underhook I want. So I'm cocked the wrong way to be dogfighting and turning that way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig my toes in, my knees are pinched together. One can't be separate like this. Some of you guys always tell me to bring your knee up. See, I don't have it, like I'm here like this. Right? And I dig my toes in and I just turn my toes to the sky. Look, that's all I'm doing. And see what it does to his hips here? Creates a massive hole. So I'm just doing that, right? If I get caught up into like triangling my legs, it doesn't do any of that. Completely changes the game. I pinch, I'm like scissoring. Like this leg's going down and this knee's turning up. So I'm like scissoring his leg too. You see that? I don't mean to over exaggerate it there and make you do that bad. But it's a slight movement that Kelly can feel, but you guys can't really see, right, Kelly? Like I start to scissor and I have this shin pinched. He feels like it's tweaking. And I have a massive amount of control on it. My feet are on the ground. Big common mistake, people start trying to lift their legs off the ground. This isn't gonna turn his knee up into the air, okay? So also, this dude's passing. He knows he's gotta keep his knee down here. If he does nothing, a basic person's just gonna go to half guard like that, right? And then I'd have to get my underhook and then I'd have to get up. Come back here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create this space and I'm gonna take this knee, I'm gonna shove it to the floor on the other side of my hips. And then I'm gonna take this hand and push his other knee away with my elbow and my knee. So I go here, boom. This is where I don't have the ankle control right now, but I kept the foot in between my legs. And now I have the underhook and I can get up on my elbow, get up in a dogfight. In a perfect world, I hooked his foot instead of staying like this, right? I don't want to overwhelm you with details in the beginning. I got his hip, I got his knee, I pass backwards, I'm into side control beginners. We're gonna be like, we're gonna get super down with the underhook. We're gonna turn sideways, put our hips on the mat. We're not gonna sit on our knees all wide away and it gets us guard. We're not doing that, right? We're gonna crush the beginners, we're gonna crush him like this. Hips in, crush him, okay? Everybody's doing this technique. I'll go over the advanced one with the, and here, let's turn this time, Kelly, so the camera can see each different way. So I'm here, I got him on his hands, I got his foot trapped in some form or fashion. I also don't want to give this big exposure of my hand I talked about earlier, right? With my underhook here. I don't want to give that up. So as I'm doing this, I'm conscious of that and I'm keeping this very tight. Notice this forearm's now gonna start pushing him away over there and I stuff this to the floor. This is not happening with his knee on my stomach. This is not where I'm trying to stop. It must be to the floor and then I get the hip. I grab his hip, watch my hand. I'm gonna get up, boom, I grab his leg so he can't limp me out and I start passing. Underhook, head control on my hip, driving to him. All right, one more time this way. I'm mounted. I got his foot trapped. I take his knee and I push it to the floor over here. I can push his knee over here too to help settle him that way. Underhook. Look how I get up. This is important. My elbow goes underneath my ribs and grabs his leg. Kelly's a wrestler. He's gonna limp me out if I don't do that and go to front. No, like slide onto this hip. Yeah, go to front head. He's gonna do that if I lose that knee. You best believe that I need to hold on to this knee. Now try and limp me out, Kelly. It's not gonna work and I'm gonna rise up and take him down. Does that make sense? Last time this way. I'm here. I got that foot. I turn my opponent's knee, I push his knee, beginners push the other hip and knee, put the foot to the floor, get the underhook, get up on your knees. You might even hit your face on the mat, get used to it. Grab his knee, go around his guard, not in front of it. Push his guard out of the way if you need to. Get the underhook, get the head, turn your hips to the mat so he doesn't get his guard. Squeeze him. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
One person go. Ready, set.